Lesson 3. Negotiating the right ownership percentages. Don't let investors take advantage of you. You can get the funds your business needs without selling your company. Most startups don't know how to negotiate well enough not to lose ownership for liquidation preferences. And that's why this is a key part of the funding process. When it comes to ownership percentages, investors typically want a certain percentage of the company in exchange for their investment. You need to decide how much equity exactly you're willing to give up in exchange for the capital you need. Liquidation preferences refer to how the investors get paid if the company is sold or goes out of business. You need to understand the different types of liquidation preferences and how they can affect your ownership percentage. But let's take a step back to how much equity to give up. Here's a few factors to consider when making that choice. 1. The stage of your startup and how much capital you need to reach your goals. 2. Your long-term plans for the company. And 3. How much ownership you're comfortable giving up. The more ownership you give up, the less control you have over the company in the future. Now, we've talked about this earlier, so we'll skip the explanations, but what I will go deeper on is number 3. If you're a very early stage startup, you may need to consider giving up a higher percentage of equity than a later stage startup. Why? Because the company is still in the process of validating its business model, and there's a higher risk of failure. So you may need to give up a larger percentage of equity in order to attract investors. A later stage startup, on the other hand, has probably proven its business model and has a lower risk of failure. Knowing this will give you a good grasp of the trade-offs involved. On the one hand, you may need to give up a significant amount of ownership in order to raise the capital you need. On the other hand, you'll be giving up control and future profits if your company is successful. I know it can be a difficult decision, and there's no one right answer, but you need to weigh the pros and cons and decide what's best for your company's long-term success, even if it means rejecting some offers.